Hi everyone, welcome to the virtual meet that we have. We know that there is a pandemic going on, coronavirus, and we are trying to make sure that we all connect virtually, not in person. Please stay safe and stay healthy. We are all in this together, so we are going to support each other. Today at the meet, we have Niloufer Tamboly with us. She's one of the eminent speakers and an eminent personality in information security. We know each other virtually from quite a long time, but today we got the chance to connect in person over the YouTube chat. So, Niloufer, um, over to you. Please introduce yourself and then what we're going to be talking about today.
Thank you so much, Vandana. And I am Niloufer Tamboly, and I am the president of IC Squared New Jersey chapter. In 2020, my focus is to help people transition to a cybersecurity career. And for that, I have in-person meetups, which obviously have now transitioned into online chats, online meetings. And I have, since 2012, when we started, I have had interaction with a bunch of people who come in. Either they are trying to transition into a cybersecurity career, or they want to transition from one role to another one. And based on that feedback, based on like personal chats, based on like things that have worked for others, things that have not worked for some people, I have put together some kind of like I've put together a strategy and a strategic path for people. And what I would like people like Vandana, people like Astha, or Priya and Aprita, etc. What I want all the chapter leaders of InfoSec girls, etc., is to join me in this moment as we help people transition to cybersecurity roles. And I want your feedback on what I'm going to share now. Thank you so much, Vandana.
Thank you so much. So the share button is at the bottom.
Yes, yes, I'm just trying to load the first screen. Right, and we do not have, or at least so far, like I did not have a certain pathway with I could say, oh, these are the things that work for a bunch of people, and this is something that you could probably do. So I have like put together this slide. I put together this with what I call the AEIOU method, and I'll walk you through what that is. So what is the current outlook? Because and why are people like wanting to transition to this role? Because there is a big gap in the workforce. And I'm sharing this. This is like from the workforce study, which was created by IC Squared for 2019. This tells you that all over the world, so it doesn't matter where you are located, there is a need for cybersecurity professionals, more so now than ever before. And these are these are like general roles. These are very generic, and these are not the only roles, right? So you might be thinking that, oh, I don't like any of these, but I'm going to just talk about generic roles and what they do, and how you could transition into any of these. So the risk role means any change which is introduced in any system, any company, any organization will need a risk review, even if it is something as basic as construction, right? So everybody will go through, and maybe it's like, I think it's a part of even PMP project management, like risk review and understanding what kind of new risk is going to be introduced. Same thing when we are talking about our information security organization. If there is any kind of new process, project, vendor which we are going to be onboarding, risk becomes very crucial environment. And it's a very important role. Audit now, against any kind of regulatory standard, any kind of um, regulatory regulations, we have audits, right? So you could be like auditing because you're an external auditor, maybe you are an internal auditor, maybe you are a PCI assessor who needs to audit, maybe audit and sign off on um, somebody is like attestation on compliance, maybe you are, so I'm putting all these roles, audit and compliance roles together. Engineering, when I'm talking about engineering, people who are in IT, yeah, they are in engineering. So we are talking about engineering role, you could easily transition to an architect role, like a security architect. So engineering and architect roles are part of the engineering flow. Then when we talk about legal, now you could be a lawyer, right? You could be an attorney, you could be, and in addition to the general work that you did for cybersecurity, making sure that the language is in the contract with the vendors, making sure that you have the correct SLAs in place, etc. Now the role is getting much more expanded because now we need help from attorneys on privacy related projects. We want, like say, in the US, we have a CCPA, which is the California Privacy Act. We've got GDPR, which is the European Act. We've got like different. So suppose you are in Germany, you've got like your Data Protection Act over there. Depending on where you are, the role of legal professionals in cybersecurity is expanding. And when we talk about threat management, I am talking about vulnerability management. I'm talking about threat intelligence gathering. I'm talking about um, responding to threats. I'm talking about, so it depends, there are a bunch of roles, but on a broader level, I have just grouped them under threat management. And then now we come here with our DevSecOps, which is again part of like what Vandana does best. And that is like your application security. You could have things like SaaS testing, DAST testing, which is like your pen testing, vulnerability testing, right? And how do you secure something by design? How do you make sure that your coding decisions are made in a secure fashion, so that you use the right tool, you scan your code before you push it out? What are the different roles, what are the different products that you can do today, which make sure that vulnerable VMs are not brought online? What are, so all those kind of roles will come under your DevSecOps. And Vandana, you can probably correct me if you think that there's some other place that they can go in, and we can have another chat about that coming. Um, so forget cybersecurity roles, right? What is required for any to fill any role? There are three elements. One is the education, one is experience, and one is certification. So all three, right? And you can get away with any two, depending on what role you're applying for, right? Like if you're applying for like some role which is asking for say 15 years of experience, you're not going to get by with just education and certifications. However, we are not talking about securing a role which pays like maybe $500,000 for you. We are talking about how to transition into the career, how to get your foot in the door, and then you can probably work your way in, work your way up, work your way around where you are and where you want to be. So education, there will be like certain requirements that are needed. Like suppose you are a doctor, right? You're not going to, if you don't have the right education, you're not going to be. But the good part about cybersecurity roles is that you don't have to have a master's in cybersecurity to just get in, right? Because people who are holding these current roles, back in the day when we started, or at least back in the day when I started, there was no cybersecurity kind of training available. And even today, there are certain public colleges which do not have anything pertaining to, they have certain cybersecurity courses, but not like a degree path, or not like something which we would say that on the like education wise, right? Then we're talking about experience. You could have experience on the job, you could have experience while you're volunteering, you could have experience on projects that you have created, you could have experience by providing your service to somebody else, or on some kind of like OAS kind of project, which is like a community based project. And then we come to certifications. Now, depending on what roles you are trying to look at, right? What is your target market, what is your target industry, what is your target? Some industries are very focused, and they have to have, even for you to interview with them, they will require certain things. Certain industries are more open because there is been this lack of resources available. So they will like probably tell you that, okay, you join us, and within for 6 months, you will have to like, get the certification, etc. So now, okay, why did I put this slide over here? Know yourself and you will win all battles. Because a lot of people that I talk to, they talk about saying that, uh, Niloufer, I have a interview coming up in 3 days, and can you help me with what my weaknesses are? And I'm like wondering, how do I know your weaknesses, right? You probably should know them. So if you know what you are good at, what you're not good at, what you want to do, it will make your path much easier, much faster, and an overall better experience for you. So know yourself, what you're trying to do, and where you're trying to go, because otherwise it's going to be very frustrating. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, AEIOU, right? So this is a strategic map for your cybersecurity, let's call it like career transition. And I'm going to walk you through what each one means, and what are the activities that you will do, and what are the tactics, right? So this is a strategy, and now we will go back to like, for each phase, we will go into the tactics or the activities that you probably need to work on. And when we are talking about this like AEIOU, this whole thing could take, say, from beginning to end, like say 6 months, depending on what time, right? I don't know how much time you have to contribute towards your success. I don't know how committed you are, and depending on whatever else is going on with your life, right? But and you might spend, like say, in the first two phases, you could be done in say maybe 15 days, and then you will spend like in the immerse phase for the next 4 months, because that's where all the real work is, where you're trying to train yourself and bring things. And then depends on uh, uh, okay, so now let's come up to this assess phase. So what is assess, right? Assess is what have you done, right? So list your skills, soft skills, hard skills. um, Basically, uh, what have you done so far, right? And this helps you to understand that, yes, these are my skills. I am not up to par on such some. I am great with some. So you will like probably say, yeah, I'm proficient with this. I am like maybe learning this. I'm maybe like, halfway decent skills in XYZ. Now, when I talk about skills, I'm not talking about say something's very specific that you probably did in the past. I'm talking about your transferable skills, because this gives you the confidence. Whatever you do, right? You have certain project management skills, time management, people management. Maybe you have reporting skills. Maybe you can like report things up to your seniors in a very crisp manner, and you do not have to. You can like see the big picture and what they are interested in, and you can convey that message to them. Maybe you have got some great data analytics skills, right, which you could use anywhere. And then what you are good at. So you know what you are good at, right? But just because you're good at something, maybe you may not like to do that, right? Because suppose somebody is like really doesn't like say public speaking, right? Some like we have to do it, but say suppose you're not interested, you just that whole experience like drains you. You dread going into it, then you do it, and then you get out and you say, oh shoot, I'm just like, this is not for me, right? So you know what you have done, you know what you're good at, and then you decide on what you would like to do. Now, when we talk about in a career based situation, uh, you maybe because of your family situation, or like you've got kids, I don't know, like whatever is going on in your life, you've got, maybe you are a caregiver for certain elders in your family, etc. So you will know that, do you like to travel? Suppose and I've done that, right? I used to travel three weeks on, 1 week off. um, and depends on where you are, maybe that is not something that you like to do. Maybe you like to travel, and you are maybe a 25-year-old, and you'd love to travel, you'd love to work on projects that give you that opportunity, or work with companies that provide you with that opportunity. Maybe you do not like to be on call 24/7, right? So depending on all your internal as well as external things, as well as what you know where you want to be, you will decide on what kind of role that you are looking for. And no matter what your restrictions are, what there are different, definitely different roles that you can pick and choose. Now we come into the explore phase. This is where we are going to do our research. We are going to do our research on the job titles based on the phase one results that we got, and say, okay, so these are the job titles, these are the companies. When you're talking about job titles, you are going to narrow down within like a 50-mile radius of where you are, or depending on whatever other geographical criteria, right? So you will say, okay, and for most of us, 50 miles is like enough, because nobody wants to travel more than that, like, commuting and everything. So depends on that, you will come up with like a list of companies that are hiring in your area. And again, whatever you did the research, do you want to work for a company above a certain revenue level? Do you want to work for a startup? Do you want to work for a company which has like X amount of employees, right? So depends on all your criteria. You will do the research, which will provide you with a list. Now you've created your little database or your little list of job titles, companies, as well as people. Now, why do I keep on saying people? People means who are the who are the people who are in the top professions in this particular job or role or career that you are looking at. And who are these, right? So how do you find out? So now you've got these companies, you've got these roles, right? Go to LinkedIn, probably take a look at what everybody is doing in this industry, and how, where people are. So narrow down at least like 30 people who are at top in their profession. They are contributing on LinkedIn, they are like engaged, they are like on Twitter, they talk about different things that are going on. And based on whatever that, I mean, based on your research, now you have narrowed down 30 people, because not everybody will be, excuse me, not everybody will be properly um, communicating on LinkedIn. They are not sharing content. Maybe they share about what they feel about on different topics, etc. Follow them, right? Follow them on whatever platforms that they are on, and just be in tune to what they are sharing, because that tells you what companies are talking about, right? What technologies are they talking about? What are the things that matter to them? Because if somebody is even liking it or sharing it or something, then these are the things which are important to them, which tells you that maybe this is something important to that company, maybe this is important to their professional things that they are doing, maybe it's a pain point that they are highlighting, right? Then you have your list of requirements, right? So you have what is required, like minimum requirements, nice to have skills, you know what their experience levels look like, and then what are the certifications. And read very carefully. When they talk about certifications, are they talking about certifications which are a must have, or do they say it's nice to have? uh, and pay attention to that language. So now you have you shortlisted, right? What are the things which are required, and what does a day in the life of your new role look like? So yes, you are planning to transition into something, right? But you need to understand. And for that, as part of like probably next week or something, I'm going to have a chat with a group discussion kind of chat, which people can even like probably ask Q&As, and I invite Vandana and the whole team to join me with IT auditors. So my first, and it'll be like a series of different roles, etc. But the first is the IT auditors, how to start in an IT audit career. Now these are people who have hired bunch of people over the long careers that they have hired. They've hired hundreds of people. Um, they know what works for them, right? What are the top skills they are looking for in your resume? Like what is something that would definitely put them off? I'm going to ask these hard questions and come up with, so that helps everybody. What does a day in your life look like, right? what are the certifications that are hot right now, what are required, what is like nice to have, and what are things that they don't really care about, right? By knowing all this, what happens is that people understand where they are, what is important to somebody like a hiring manager. I have invited somebody who has transitioned from an account, like an operational or financial audit role, into an IT role, because now that is somebody who can like answer your questions about where you are and where you want to be. So understanding what a day in the life of a new role looks like. Now you tell me that, okay, I'm not interested in IT audit and the other things is going to take time, so what can I do now? Go on LinkedIn, go on YouTube, and narrow down on based on like content that is shared, right? Because different people will share different content, and you will get that feel for what they do, as well as like what they are into. Okay, now we did the assessment, we explored stuff, now we are coming into this phase could take the longest time, because here we are, you're going to locate training that you require. Now training could be something which is like maybe you could do self study, maybe training is something that you think it is required, and you will probably locate that training online. Maybe you have to and have like some kind of specific training which is provided as a seminar, as a workshop, or whatever, right? So you are now going to bring yourself and bridge that gap which was required. You saw what you had, and then you saw what was required, and this is where you're going to fulfill that gap in your training. Then your experience required. Now many people say, oh, how do I get experience? I don't have a job right now. You could get experience doing various things, right? You could be contributing to a project. You could be uh, working with community-based organizations. You could be working with startups. You could be offering, like you could be offering your service whenever uh, you are trying to, what you're trying to do is create hands-on skills, right? And you could reach out to people in, so that requires like a little bit of work on your part. Even if reach out, like suppose you are now, let's take this analogy with the audits, right? uh, Work with companies which are like don't require like audit services, but they require like checklists on certain processes they have in place. Just now you talk about, like we are talking about this business email compromises, right? So reach out to maybe like your small business administration in your area, and tell them that, hey, I've created this checklist, I'd like to talk to small businesses in the area, uh, and explain to them what they need to have in place. Because when people talk about business email compromise, the question that I ask first is, and which is very very common, is that a CEO asked you to send out money to somebody, right? You are not, how come you have the authority to, without any other check on measure in place? So there is like a basic segregation of duties, right? A basic vendor management process, where you would not just like, if some vendor says, hey, this is my new address, send it to me, why would you just like send the check to their address? You, like, I mean, if you I know that they're trying to create FOMO, but like by producing some kind of um, response, right? What you will create some kind of content which is going to, maybe it's checklist, maybe it's templates, maybe it is what to do when somebody sends you an email like this. Maybe it's awareness training for the people who are working over there, maybe awareness for the business owner. Depends on what kind of businesses. Not every business can afford a cybersecurity professional, so maybe, offering your service to companies which are like, say, maybe 50%, maybe manufacturing companies, etc. Because everybody needs to have certain aspects of cybersecurity in their maybe schools. You could reach out to schools, right? Talk about like ransomware, talk about like how to protect their environment. So this is where you will create your experience, which is, may not be perfect, may not be ideal, depends on, if you are a student, you could go in for internships at this time, right? So this is experience, and then you will work on the security certifications that were required, for your role. So this phase could be like 80% of the whole journey. Okay, when we come to talk about like your onwards, right? You create your networking plan, and people say, oh yeah, you should network and stuff. Doesn't mean like, you're just going to show up at any place. So you need to do your homework before you even go somewhere. How do you do that? Right now you have a list of 30 people who are like, say, maybe for want of better things, are considered uh, industry leaders, or if for your particular role. And where are they speaking? Are they speaking at local meetups? What Who else is speaking, right? Like, so depends. Suppose like you're looking at, say, maybe an IT audit role, or maybe you're looking at, so ISACA, what kind of programs does ISACA have? You can become a member over there. Probably ask, like, make sure that you research what they are, who are the speakers who are coming to talk over there, who else out of these people is going to attend. Like, suppose there's a well attended meetup, you want to go to that. And now you get to meet people in more informal environment, but you are going there to accomplish a mission. So you cannot just go there and just uh, just like go with the flow. You know who are the people who you want to meet over there, right? What are you going to talk about? Do you have any questions for them? Do you have any questions for the speaker who's presenting, right? So, and reach out to the speaker if you can before time, and tell them, hey, I know that you're going to be talking on so and so place. I would like to have 10 minutes with you, and just go and introduce yourself. Go and introduce yourself to the organizers who are organizing this event. And now you've created your networking plan. Create your social media plan. You are marketing you are the product you're marketing. Just like before any product launch, there's like a long drawn out marketing plan. You need to have something in place, right? Now you went to the meetup, you took pictures, right? And now you're going to post them. So post them and tag the speaker, tag the organizer, and tag somebody else that you met at that meetup, right? So they remember you. Make sure that after that you come in and you send out connection requests to them. Make sure that you tell them like why you are. Because I mean, if people don't remember you, just tell them, hey, I met you yesterday, this is what we discussed, and I would like to connect with you on LinkedIn, or whatever other platforms. Follow them on Twitter, right? So now you have created your social media plan. In addition to that, create like a long form, maybe like probably 600 words, or depends on like what you're comfortable with. Create a video of what you learned over there. Create a maybe a write up on what you learned. What are the important things that were discussed, right? And create your own content which other people can like, you can share. You can like, they can provide you with input. And even if suppose there are some questions, right, you can create a whole blog post about some question that you are talking about. Hey, I don't know about this, I think I could be doing this, that, the other, can you please help me out? And there will be people who will respond, right? That sets the conversation going. um, Another thing very important is that as you learn, you should teach and share. Teach and share is very important because uh, it helps other people, right? And you may not be perfect. You will never, nobody is perfect. I don't think I'm perfect. I'm not even close to anywhere, right? But the thing is, by sharing what we know, it helps us in the way that people can provide us with feedback. And people sometimes ask questions which either we know the answer to, and we provide them with that, or else we can like say, hey, I don't know really, and I can find out. But at the same time, if anybody else who's maybe present, depends on where you are, right? Like, suppose like i I have this CISSP study group that I organize in and now probably we'll have to do it online. But at that point, people ask questions, and in our study group we have got experts who've been doing, say, identity access management for the past 10 years. So they contribute, right? So and now while I'm teaching, I get to learn something, right? BCPDR, I have never done it. I have like maybe audited it on times. I have got like, I know what it is, I know how it works, but I have not like physically or in my any of my roles done that, right? But what we have a person who is an expert, did that for a living for an investment bank, right? So she comes in and she like talks about things, and it just helps. So learn, teach, and share, very very important, because this is how you will uh, refine your skills. This is how you will uh, if you have like any gaps or some things that you don't know about, that's how it's going to be completed. Okay, now we are talking about the last phase. You were following these 30 people or whoever, like I'm just saying 30 people, it could be more or less. Then you met a bunch of people that, as part of your meetup groups, etc. So you have been interacting with a bunch of people over a period of time. And now, as far as your uh, a career is concerned, you have certain very specific questions, because either these people work at a company which is probably on your target list of companies where you would like to go and work. Maybe they are talking about a technology, maybe they are talking about some kind of like career related topics, etc. So you scheduled send out like emails to them and schedule some time, maybe through LinkedIn, because um, reach out to them via LinkedIn if you're already connected, and ask for an informational interview. Now, this could just be like 10-15 minutes where you have like 3 questions that you want to ask them, right? So you reach out to them and say, hey, um, I see that you're speaking at this place. Do you have time? Can I reach out? Or else just say that I would like to, I've been following you and we've been interacting. However, I have these specific, I have a few questions that I would like to ask you. And is it possible that you can meet, like, so maybe find out like where they work, or close to a coffee shop, and maybe they can invite you to where they work, and you could have coffee with them, etc. So it just like it's an informational interview. You are not like being like super creepy. You are trying to understand like and they know upfront what your agenda is. It's not like you're trying to sell something to them. You're not trying to ask them for a job. You are asking, you have questions, and you've been interacting with them, so they know that they know your journey, and they're trying to be helpful by meeting you in person. Now, and we could have like maybe like a 2-hour talk on like how to get an informational interview with somebody on your target list, etc. What kind of emails to send them, how to follow up if they don't respond, what else you can do, etc., etc. But this, we are just being very brief, because um, the time allocated for us just now. And then revise your resume. When you talk about revising your resume, right now you have all this experience where maybe you helped a community organization better their cybersecurity posture, and whatever else that you've done in your past, right? Your resume should not be, oh, 3 years I was in this so and so role where I did all this. Your resume needs to be more outcome based. Did you save time first for whatever, right? Did you create a template which reduced effort from XYZ to the whatever it is that you are measuring, right? So time, effort, or money saved have to be part of your resume, right? How, what did you do, and how did it help the company, or how did it help whatever project it was that you're doing. uh, Now, and now you start, you are like prepared, you know about, you research the companies, you know you what you've been doing for the past almost 6 months, and now you start applying for positions, right? When you start applying for positions, now you have like a target list, but go out of the target and apply for those other companies. So first thing is that if there is any kinks in your resume. Maybe you applied for all the other companies that you didn't want to work for, and none of them invited you for an interview, right? So what's going on? What's up? Why is this happening, right? Because you do not want to apply to your target companies and then find out that there was some kind of issue which probably like put you out of contention totally. So you now try your hand at all the other companies that are good, or you wouldn't mind working at, but they are not part of your first target which you had, right? So now you apply for them. Once you get an interview, you know that you've already qualified, because nobody would even invite you for an interview and waste their time and yours if you did not qualify for that post or position or something. So now what is left is for you to go in and convince the hiring manager, convince whoever is part of the interviewing process that you can do the job. We can have like a separate seminar on, or separate, like probably like a online talk on how to ace your interview, how to apply for positions, and maybe like even uh, the follow-up process, or what emails to send out to people, etc. But I think I've hit my time limit for today. Thank you so much, Vandana, once again, and the InfoSec girls for inviting me. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Niloufer. That was really helpful, and I really like the way that you actually put it down on a presentation. That was really amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. So I'll stop
I'm
sharing now.
sure. Yeah, and I'm sure people would want to know where they can reach you. I'm sure, like after that, after the presentation, a lot of people would like to connect with you over LinkedIn.
Yes,
So,
please do that. Please do that.
please connect with Niloufer Tamboly. And if you have any question, feel free to drop a note. If you have any question, you can put it on the YouTube chat. I just checked YouTube chat. There's no question at the moment. If there would be any question, Niloufer, I will let you know. But thank you
Okay.
so much for chatting with us today. It was really wonderful.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, you and Asta, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Nilofer, for coming.